It's hard to believe, but Juneteenth is back, and it's back in person in Buffalo.
Yeah, welcome to another month of community. I'm Pete Gallivan.
And I'm Claudine Ewing. It's Juneteenth, everyone.
And this year, this celebration was needed like never before.
Absolutely. In wake of what happened in Buffalo on May 14th, this community was suffering. They were in disbelief. And then Juneteenth came, and now there's a sense of happiness as the healing continues. Welcome to this special edition of Community as we celebrate Juneteenth.
Yeah, you can look by the crowd after being shut down for 2 years and being opened back up. We are here in full effect.
For sure.
We love everybody. We just want to have fun.
But let's not forget the meaning of Juneteenth. June 19th, 1865, the day enslaved African Americans learned they were free. Now it also recognizes African American freedom with an emphasis on education and achievement.
I'm glad that they finally made it a national holiday.
Juneteenth is our Independence Day. It's a chance for us to remember and appreciate our ancestors and all the fighting that they did for us. And so seeing everybody out here is truly a blessing.
We love it. We don't like it. It's our day.
The nation's largest Juneteenth celebration because of leaders like you, Patrick Ray.
Buffalo Police. Young ones. And let's not forget that the Tops massacre brought out many people.
We need to heal with our people.
We show our strength in numbers, and we let people know that you're not going to stop us coming into our community, trying to take something away from us. It's not going to happen. So, resiliency.
And our Channel 2 family was proud to be out. Those you see on camera and those behind the scenes. We're here for our community.
This is what you call community. Yeah, absolutely. This is what we have to continually do in solidarity and unity to really make it happen. We want to make it happen. Let's make it happen. Yeah.
While the meaning of Juneteenth is rooted in freedom, this year the dancing, the music, the food, the smiles, and whatever this is, have a deeper significance. It's about unity.
Came all the way back from Columbia, Maryland, just to come home for Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth!
Why was that important?
Very important. If it ain't important every year, so it's definitely important this year.
Unity in the face of evil.
If we didn't have this, we would have been in a deep hole because we don't have the supports like that.
We continue to show up for each other, and we show our strength in numbers, and we let people know that you're not going to stop us coming into our community, trying to take something away from us. It's not going to happen. So, resiliency.
Evil that descended on this community on May 14th. But this celebration is one of strength and a clear sign that this community chooses love over hate. The Juneteenth Festival came back in person, not a moment too soon.
You know, happening just 1 month after that horrific racist massacre, having this celebration and coming out stronger than ever, it was vitally important to this community. So we keep saying since day one, unity, 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 and I think this shows it.
Someone came into our community and tried to actually bury members of our community. But again, they forgot that when they buried us, that we were seeds, and they didn't know what would grow out of it. This is a sense of what grows out of our pain.
Hate will not win. Evil will not win. That won't prevail. Love and unity will prevail. This community will be built up. This community will be stronger than ever before. We will see more unity in the city of Buffalo than ever before, and we will be a model for the rest of the nation. Happy Juneteenth, everyone.
think that when we're all together, we become stronger and see how big and large our community truly is. And especially after things that happen like at the tops, I think it's great for us to finally come together and appreciate.
Celebrating Juneteenth is really celebrating Black Americans and our Black neighbors, and it's so important to be able to be inclusive but also understanding and you know, make sure that we go out into the world and embrace our neighbors moving forward in all capacities that we can.
We are strong as a community. Our culture always stands out. I'm proud of our people. When I get together like this, I feel so much strength. When we're together like this motivates me, this energizes me when we are together like this. I mean, look at us.
And that all of us have a responsibility and a duty to do more, but we've got to do it together. This is not the responsibility just of the African American community. All of us must lift up East Buffalo and communities like them, and again, recognize who we are and the legacy that we represent, and march on with our heads up high in celebration of Juneteenth.
And while we celebrate Juneteenth in Buffalo, we also have to pause to remember those lives lost in a mass shooting that was racially motivated. Coming up, we head to Washington to hear the voices of those fighting for change.
Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, federal lawmakers and anyone in power will not forget Buffalo, the faces, the families, the message. While there for hearings on gun violence, it became very clear that the victims and their families want something that they wished was truly abolished hundreds of years ago, eradicated. As Juneteenth is observed, listen to their voices in my conversation with the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. All voices need to be heard.
Domestic terrorism exists in this country for 3 reasons. America is inherently violent. This is who we are as a nation. The very existence of this country was founded on violence, hate, and racism, with the near annihilation of my Native brothers and sisters. My ancestors brought to America through the slave trade were the first currency of America. Let me say that again for the people in the back. My ancestors, the first currency of America, were stripped of their heritage and culture, separated from their families, bargained for on auction blocks, sold, beaten, raped, and lynched. Yet I continuously hear after every mass shooting that this is not who we are as Americans and as a nation. Hear me clearly. This is exactly who we are.
When you heard Zanetta speak earlier, she called out racism in America going all the way back to when African Americans were brought here.
Racism still exists in America. We saw it here on January the 6th. We see it on the United States House floor when members of Congress espouse racist theories, when they talk about replacement theories in floor speeches, in campaign speeches. This is a real issue that we are dealing with. But we are prepared to continue to stand up and fight. And you are right, racism is not new, but that does not mean that it's correct.
Majority of what I have learned about African American history, I did not learn until I went to college, and I had to choose those classes. Why is that? Why is African American history not a part of American history? African Americans built this country from the ground up. My ancestors' blood is embedded in the soil. We have to change the curriculum in schools across the country so that we may adequately educate our children. Reading about history is crucial to the future of this country. Learning about other cultures, ethnicities, and religions in schools should not be something that is up for debate.
To America, we all have a responsibility. For little children to not be able to go to school, to go to the theater, to be in a shopping center, or to be able to do anything that is a part of traditional life, we can do better. When I think about this conspiracy replacement theory, when I think about white supremacy, when I think about these racial gestures from racist individuals, I go to the House floor. And here's what I want to say. I want America to hold my Republican colleagues accountable. I want them to be accountable. We know that there is not one answer, but I do know If we take these assault weapons off the street, it's at least one step.
The nation is now observing Juneteenth, but it takes on special meaning for some of the relatives of those killed at Tops on 5/14. Here's some of my conversation with Pamela, Dominique, and Michelle. What does Juneteenth now mean to you? Does it take on a different meaning for you?
I believe it definitely does take on a different meaning for me, because when we think about Juneteenth, what it represented from the beginning, and freedom and emancipation, and people knowing that finally, after centuries, they have freedom. Well, I'm like kind of thinking about that in this respect now, and I'm glad you asked that question, because we have to say we need freedom again. And when I say freedom, I mean the freedom to go to a store and to know we're gonna be safe, the freedom to know that our matriarchs and our patriarchs are gonna be able to come back to our homes. I think often, and we were talking about this earlier, my mother was 77 years old, and the stories that she told me, because she grew up in Fayette, Alabama, she knew what it was to grow up in segregation. And she told me these stories, but she's not gonna be able to tell my children these stories, or my grandchildren, because she's not here. And when I think about that, it brings a whole new perspective to Juneteenth, and not just Juneteenth, but the way we need to view Black history, because we lost matriarchs.
Absolutely.
And patriarchs.
Absolutely. And history. And also that banding together, and the whole element of Juneteenth, and how we need to band together so we have options. Tops Supermarket, there should not be a food desert. We should have options. So Juneteenth and the whole banding together takes on a whole nother meaning for me, in that we need to be very intentional with our banding together. And we need to start demanding as a community, what is acceptable? Is it acceptable to reopen a place where our community was massacred? Is it acceptable to open a place where our neighboring community members heard the gunshots? Is it acceptable to put our people back into that mental turmoil of PTSD, thinking about their loved ones who were shot down? Is that acceptable? Or should we be banding together to come up with some options? That's what Juneteenth really should be, making us kind of think about.
The food deserts are here. That is why Tops was targeted. The redlining that says that the districting and the money goes to this side of the county and not this side of the county is why he was able to go to Tops in that area. The fact that all the businesses and all the money have now gone to that side of the redlining, where all the money is at, is why everyone is going here and trying to take the bus. It's why they can't go out farther, because they're taking the bus. My cousin died at the bus stop. So don't you sit here and tell me, well, why don't you guys do more for yourselves? Why don't you go get jobs? Where are they at? Across town? Am I gonna get there on the bus transit system that I'm getting shot at? Am I gonna get there with gas prices getting higher, with rent that's doubling itself, but my minimum wage isn't doubling itself? So you're telling everybody you need to do better, you need to fight harder, but we have a system that is literally fighting against us. The system is not broken. The system is working exactly like the system was supposed to work. The system needs to be broken down and redone again.
Coming up, you can't celebrate without food. Stay with us.
And we all know food is a big hit every Juneteenth. The ribs, the sausage, so good. But we want to take a moment to highlight a Black-owned restaurant in Buffalo.
It is cooking with passion, cooking with love, so you got to have that first before you even decide to step into the kitchen.
Earlier this month, Western New Yorkers stepped out in support of Black Restaurant Week. From June 12th to the 19th, people had a chance to discover, celebrate, and support some of the best Black-owned restaurants the Queen City has to offer, like Dr. Bird's Caribbean Restaurant on Main Street, or Ike and BG's over on Genesee. And hey, if you're in the mood for a cup of joe, try Unapologetic Coffee, the brainchild of twin sisters with a passion for social justice.
It wasn't really until the late 1800s, going into the 1900s, that Black people even started owning businesses.
This year, the Buffalo Urban League Young Professionals made some major changes, including bringing back paper applications, broadening qualifications, and offering promotional materials. They even put together a restaurant guide. As a result, the number of participating restaurants more than doubled, with 58 businesses signing up. President Mark Overall says when it comes to owning and operating a Black-owned business, oftentimes it's about playing catch-up.
9 times out of 10, the owner, it's a small family-owned establishment. The owner is either working in the kitchen or greeting people, and they have their family, their immediate family and friends helping to serve food, helping to greet, helping to sit, helping to support the daily operations of the restaurant, to the point where if that owner goes out of town or is sick, that restaurant is usually closed.
Overall says for many of these Black-owned businesses, success is simply learning how to navigate racial and systemic inequities.
There was hundreds of years where Black people couldn't own businesses, where Black people could not have access to their own revenue streams, their own capital streams.
Ramon Anderson and his brother Ronnie co-own Brothers Restaurant over on Ellicott Street. What started as a small family catering business has expanded into a successful, full-service restaurant and bar.
We've actually been in Black Restaurant Week for the last 2 years, so this will be our 3rd year. So I think we're always under that microscope because sometimes they want us to fail, and when we don't fail and we succeed, then they're like, oh my God, they're actually doing what they're supposed to do.
How about something sweet? Lauren Hall takes us inside Cake Crazy.
If you had told Shatise Jackson when she was a student at the Culinary Institute of America or the Emerson School of Hospitality that she'd one day own a bakery, she probably wouldn't believe you.
I've always been a chef my entire adult life, but cooking, I never knew how to bake, and honestly, I didn't like baking.
And after working in restaurants across the country and then spending almost a decade as a chef instructor at Buffalo State College, Jackson gave in to the sweet feeling that baking eventually brought her. It all started when she decided to make a birthday cake for her mom one year.
I put a tiara on there, and she almost cried because she loved the cake. I became obsessed with the smile that I put on her face. She was so happy.
And almost 8 years later, Shatise is still putting smiles on faces from her own bake shop on William Street in Cheektowaga.
My mother told my favorite aunt, she said, she called her and said, oh, Shatise is cake crazy. All she talks about is cake now. And she's, I told her I don't want to hear anything else about cake. So that's why I named the bakery Cake Crazy. It's all I tell
And
them.
soon Shatise will expand and open her first restaurant, Crazy Good Eats. The artisan soup spot is moving into the former Tony's Ranch House on Main Street in Buffalo.
6 soups we'll have every day. We'll have sandwiches, salads, and seasonal specials that'll change weekly. And we'll also have desserts that will be provided by the bakery.
They're planning to be open later this summer.
So we're going to wrap up the show with the sights and sounds of Juneteenth in Buffalo 2022 style. Enjoy. Check out some of the festivities happening behind us. Enjoy. See you next month.
See you next month.
Whatever feeling, I feel that you feel a lot. Cause I think in my feelings, I'm giving you what I've got. Maybe I'm on your page, maybe I got your heart. Maybe I feel like
How you doing? Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Just look up, bro. You gotta stress, bro. I see the shot, bro. We're tired